We're back with our review of Memsie Stake Day at Caulfield.
Where'd Mick go?
No, Mick's actually headed straight to the dogs.
Right, okay.
Or he's gone to find the nearest food outlet because Mick is the best. He's tipping into every good joint in Victoria. So, hello to the Serpentine Roadhouse, and thank you very much. Caulfield, the first, was taken out by Leotti.
Well, Juppy, there were 4 1400 metre races there on Saturday.
Yep.
The difference between the quickest of them, which was Blackheart Bart, rightly so, and Leotti's race is 2.5 seconds. So we're talking the order of 16 lengths. So all I can say is well done to Dwayne Dunn on the leader. Well done, Dwayne. You're a beauty. I don't understand how a jockey can be so good on stalkers. Like, there you were seeing the great effect on Defcon and he's our Roki. Like, you're a terrific jockey on that kind of horse. But to put you on a leader, Dwayne, honestly, I don't know what it's hard to understand how you could have got this far in your career and have so little understanding of how to win a Saturday race, not a provincial race where you've got laps on them, a Saturday race from the front. Like, anyone wants to watch the prototype how to lose a race on a leader Saturday class, just go and watch race 1 at Caulfield on Saturday. And Dwayne Dunn gave that horse no hope, and the dead giveaway is coming back on the line. It means that horse completely lost its interest and momentum in the middle stages of the race by going 10 lengths slower than it should have been going, and it allowed a horse, the favourite, up from 1100 metres that was going to have a better sprint than it, to be able to not have its fitness tested, to be able to build its momentum at the best part of the race and just completely out-spring it. Like,
it is torture in this game when you take a position against the favourite, or you take a position for a roughie. We'll get to one later that we were both at double on, and you don't find out the way the race is run to find out if your judgment was any good.
Yeah.
I had it happen to me at Flemington a few weeks ago with Odeon.
Yeah.
Andrew Mallion, probably the worst rider of the year, and then he wins by 6 lengths at Geelong. Doesn't mean he would have won the day, but he would have liked to have won out now. Exactly what you said. I've got Vince Cardi's daily sectionals done here, so
hello,
I'm trying to help out. And we've moved our lunch by 2 weeks. If we could just
Get along to that.
Yeah.
It'll be well worthwhile.
So it's on the 16th now of September. I got an email from Ground saying we're doing some noise, some building work. There'll be some noise. Can't guarantee it. Do you want to move it forward? So it's nice when we get in touch. So if you want it, racetrackralphie.com.au and send me an email. I will. So ironically, I don't know if it's ironic, but two of the Sabrika are perfectly safe Hastings horses. They ruined each other, and there's the same group of owners who happen to be mates with Melbourne supporters. They had a big day between Sabrika breaking down, perfectly safe, going too slowly, and the Demons getting crushed. But you said it all. They walked. It was effectively a 600 metre race. Sabrika, who both ran the best last time for the day, but it's off a job. It's a barrel job.
so can I say that, like, Dwayne or anyone watching that wants to talk to Dwayne or anything else, tell me if any of those things aren't true. That horse at its last start ran at 1200 metres at Sandown. It worked up the hill.
Went fast.
Okay, the other horses, Zabrika was coming off a longer gap between runs, and Leotti was up from 1100 metres. Okay, perfectly safe, had a good test of fitness at Sandown, and it just sort of ran out of fitness in the last 50 metres when Haydock got it. So that gave it the best platform to win the race on Saturday if it was a test of fitness. So, I mean, they're all simple facts that anyone analysing the race, so I'm not sure what work Dwayne and his team did prior to the race, but why you wouldn't make it a test of fitness? That was your chance to win the race.
But we know the strengths and weaknesses of different jogging. But one point I think worth mentioning, and it happened later on the day as well, Blinker's first time is the best gear change in racing, except when it's the worst. And on this occasion with Sabrika missed the start, which often you see horses first time in Blinkers, they fall. And the same with Henry Dwyer's horse later in the day. So it's a great theory, but every now and then if they bundle a start, there's not much you can do.
At least no one can accuse the Hay stable of team riding.
They stuffed each other
Because perfectly safe
That's
to
what I'm
everything to ruin its own and Sabrika's chances and to make the race for Leotti. So.
Now, you said, who did those owners barrack for?
Melbourne.
Well, keep your eye open, punters. We'll be doing the Melbourne Pro Punters panel 3-part series as Ralphie breaks down Melbourne's season, and then there'll be the 7-part series where Michael Harrick comes back to break down Richmond's season. Race 2 was taken out by He's Our Rocky.
Well, Jumpy, we had a good bet here on Prince of Brooklyn because he was fully tuned up, ready to do his absolute best, and he did. I took an early set against He's Our Rocky because he was 7-2, and I thought it was too short, but he was easy to save on in the end because he got out to a very good price. He was clearly the most talented horse in the race, but he wasn't tuned up to win, but he won anyway. So, and this race is a solid race, and he is one of the horses on the betting that is a significant horse to follow, and I think he'll win more races this prep.
So one of the things, we'll talk about this at once, I really found with Vince's stuff why you don't overrate the best last 200. So He's Our Rocky, 8th best last 800, 2nd best last 600, 15th best last 200. So 8th, 2nd, 11th, 15th. That late drop off, that's conditioning. Now the question being, because they walked on the first 600, so he's got this best ever platform he could have for a resuming runner. The question is, if Jungle Edge had a float along, and He's Our Rocky shorter fitness compared to Prince of Brooklyn, was trying to keep up, that could have been the difference in the race. In fact, it probably almost certainly would have. So in the end, the soft early tempo played in the hands of the class runner, and well, you said horse to follow. I'm absolutely stamping up. I'll never get that. Oh, well, I might on a super race, it'd be Group 1, but that's as good odds we'll get for He's Our Rocky in that type of class. He's on my own.
He's got significant improvement. He was not tuned up. So.
Race 3 was taken out by Vibrant Rouge.
Oh, this is just a poxy mare's race. I've got nothing to say about it. Except that Gabella's a really nice run, and she's a nice mare.
Well, just the one part with Vince's figures that showed, and there was one thing that just stopped me completely out of my shoulders, a Majestic Lass, and we had a decent ruling session on this thing a couple of weeks ago, is that's what happens when you ride a horse passively.
Yeah.
Next up, when you are asked to show some speed, you actually haven't got any conditioning benefit out of that passive ride. So at Sandown, when Michael Walker fell asleep for the first 600 metres, they ran the best last 800 of the day, which was a big effort. It still didn't do much work stepping up to 1400s, and then all of a sudden they've gone for position rather than speed, put the horse in the race, no criticism of Dwayne. Once fast approaching got going, that really forced him to go fast, and as you say, the proof in the end was Vibrant Rouge's rock hard fit, completely beyond her best days, winning the race, but Majestic Lass was the clear best on pacer. I think she can bounce back, but I don't know in what type of race, because the races get harder now.
Yeah, that was a win for fitness.
Yeah.
Race 4 was taken out by Lord Barrington.
Right of the day?
There's another win for fitness. Yeah, good ride. They did everything right.
Bad races.
Yep. Race 5 was taken out by Red Zell for the Snowdens.
The only comment I'll make about the previous races, I still can't believe Candace wasn't able to run Lord Barrington down. Like every time I back it, we had a weird discussion last week. When I find them, some of them just don't find the lines. I can't even. Sorry.
I think he's a blink horse.
Maybe.
Maybe he's a Darren Weir horse. He just needs another 16 runs into his prep.
It'll probably come good on New Year's Day.
Sorry, Red Zell. Look, you weren't happy with this race?
Well,
a number of punters weren't on Twitter, which I'll respond to.
What's the horse that Harry Coffey rode?
Sunday Escape.
Sunday Escape. It's not settled worse than third in races between 1,000 and 1,100 metres at its last 16 starts. It settled 8th behind Dan Zephyr. Like, that is a curiosity, and stewards should ask how that happened. Diamond Oasis took no real part in the race, which I suppose is to be expected. First start for Darren Weir. And the result of those two things happening meant that Red Zell got a complete picnic. And then, on top of that, Hellbent parked itself in front of Under the Louvre, and Hellbent did not go a yard. I don't know what was wrong with Hellbent.
Well, that was
curious, and it meant that Under the Louvre wasn't taken into the race, had to then go around them, and a race that he should have won comfortably got beat. So more couldn't have gone right for Red Zell, and more couldn't have gone wrong for Under the Louvre.
So I've got a few of these. Andrew Morris, did you get a chance to pursue the numbers from race 5 at Caulfield? It's about it on Sunday. I said, well, tweet me Monday when I've had a chance to look at bits of stuff. If so, what can we draw from them? Those sitting off Linford Christie, were they about their benchmarks or thereabout? So, in other words, Red Zell's gone really fast. And then the questions were, there was basically 3 horses who have the capacity to be there. And one of the things, if you're just learning the caper, I think you can fall into is to say, why didn't the jockey put that there? Now in staying races, yeah, but in a sprint race, it's because you're not fast enough. Why don't you sit next to Usain Bolt? Because you're not fast enough.
Yeah.
And no, there was only 3 horses for mine that potentially had the speed to be with, I don't know how you see it, with Red Zell. Would be 1, Diamond Oasis. Now,
Diamond Oasis is a faster horse than Red Zell.
okay,
On history.
first start for Darren Weir
Yeah.
with blinkers off.
Yeah.
So I reckon the stable saying, you teach it. So that's him out of the equation. As you said, Sunday Escape, it missed the start. Then there's not many other options as to who's going to match it for speed. So that then leaves him on his terms, leading and not going overly. Oh, sorry, he did go quick, but I reckon it's important that he's not racing something else. So that was perfect. Under the Louvre, best last 800 of the day. He's not really 1100 metre horse, and he didn't get anything to carry him in the road. And what the hell happened to Hellbent? Over's God, you're a prick. I got $7.50, started $7.60, $4.60. Very big win for him.
What happened to Hellbent is a mystery.
Yeah.
Race 6 was the McNeil stage, which was taken out by Defcon, and I think I managed to keep an eye on the Sydney races. I think it's fair to say the 3-year-olds up there, or 4-year-olds now, aren't they? 3 might have a little bit on the ones down here.
Potts, let me put this to you. If any of the Melbourne 3-year-olds go to Sydney, when they get off the plane, that's about as close as they'll get to their houses.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him. It's,
Why would you?
so the Melbourne Colts on Saturday went in with an extra run under their belt. Like say Highland beat and Hardham had their opportunity. Defcon comes down here. It's a solid trial, but off a trial, and he's a bit of a mongrel of a horse, and he didn't have a great position there on Saturday. Getting up the inside from the chute wasn't ideal, but he still beat him easily. So, and I'd say he's a Sydney B grader. So,
I think that's why he's down here, isn't it? Because I'm not sure whether I think they just sort of picked the softer option a little bit by coming down here.
yeah, so horses like a Stern and Startoon's been down here before, and so he must have improved Startoon significantly.
There was a massive anchor drop in this race, and we often talk about it, we talk about it. So here's some clarity for you. Red Zell and I'm Too Hot were at exactly the same speed. But then in the mid-race, Red Zell deteriorated 4 lengths. I'm Too Hot went down 10 lengths. So that's the jockey doing that.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. So that's why you see a 29 shot like wasn't really loom up. Well, because they didn't lose pace, whereas Highland Beat did, stuck inside, Defcon did. So there's a few not sure. The one thing, Awakened Grinzig, big anchor drop. He's a talent Awakened Grinzig. He just needs to be ridden quietly, no fault of Ben Mellon, he jumped cleanly, and then he's got an anchor drop in front of him. So he's the one horse I just want to, and not in the same stratosphere as the Sydney horses, but I think a mile, a settling time mile, not a Crawford Guineas label.
No, yeah.
Second tier
The
stuff.
most upsetting part of that race for me was I took $41 about the Morgan runner. What's it called?
Simply Invincible.
Simply
which was
Invincible.
scratched.
If he'd had been in the race, he would have got the run that Defcon took, and I think it would have won the race. It's coming out of a hot race at Geelong, and it would have won the race at 40-1 for us. And I don't know where it's gone.
I actually wrote, that's a good point. Worth looking at, because I wrote down this should be $1.10 to make the next day after that Geelong race, and there I was in the city. So anyway, I'd rather take short odds than rough ones.
Race 7 was the Group 1 Memsey Stakes, which was taken out by Blackheart Bark, but the main runner we need to focus on is Prince of Penzance.
The narrative.
Yes. Blackheart Bark, as soon as they went up, the previous race had finished and the markets were starting to fill up on the boards. As soon as that happened, Sean's man just went along and went bang, bang, bang. Everything above evens was taken, and then we let it settle down and give it another 5 minutes, and away we went again. I can't recall too many Group 1 race like that we just absolutely truck over.
What's the story of that betting, do you think? That betting?
Well, Darren went on the radio in the morning and said, no, he's not nearly as wound up as he was back in April when he beat Charmed Harmony here, when he had 3 trials and it was his first run for us, and we brought him to the races to win. So obviously Sean wasn't paying much attention this morning to what Darren was saying. And when he walked into the mounting yard, I thought, this horse looks ready to win to me. It's a fast run race, and he's hitting the line full of running. So there you go. I just think he was. If you assessed him at his absolute best, he was very easy to mark even money. He was an absolute clear top pick, but I thought I'll go somewhere in the middle, and on the 6 to 4, 7 to 4 mark. But as soon as the support come, you just go, I'll take any price.
Yeah, and essentially that's what it became.
Yeah.
But it's also a buy and sell situation that you never forget. And one of the great things Mark Lambourne's always one of his great pearls, which I think is hard when you're assessing a market beforehand, is first up run and scare the market.
Yeah.
So, and how many times has it done your head?
First up runners are harder to assess.
Well,
You're never quite sure how tuned up they are.
Well, I was going to say, Alpine Eagle, Tony McAvoy's statement, he can get them to turn up at their best after 400 days.
Yeah.
If there's one trainer who can. Now, he wasn't going to. But what I'm saying is, Cynthia, how close to your best do you mark Alpine Eagle? Those type of horses who have the talent, or some degree of talent. I think that's all.
Well, I think the trick there is, Ralph, I mean, I'm on hindsight here, but I did have this conversation with Matt Taylor last Friday. He wrote an article about it. Alpine Eagle had one run in over a year.
Yeah.
And Blackheart Bar was resuming off 77 days from an unbelievable run in the Stradbroke. It would have been almost impossible for Blackheart Bar to turn up in anything other than
reasonable fitness, even if they'd done absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Second point with the, in fairness to Darren Weir, and I'm firmly of the Canberra Punters in the interviews, but I have it on Saturday mornings in case something comes through. But in fairness to Darren Weir, the figures say he was 100% right. His Victoria Handicap win was better than that win, even though one was Group 3, one was Group 1. I mean, if you look at times, who cares what the class was? And particularly in the Victoria Handicap, and how often do we see this say?
Oh, look at Tom's. I've got this half a length better. But anyway, I suppose that's the
Really?
yeah.
So I'm not being smart. Why?
Well, the way I do things,
Yeah.
pardon me. Obviously, the time's really relevant. I'm comparing the time to the other times of the day, to the levels of those other horses, and I have a little algorithm that then spits out to me what the rating was in the thing, and it's better than half a length better. So I'm saying it's gone half a length better than the Daybed Charmed Harmony, but Vince's algorithm's slightly different. It might be right, and I might be wrong, but it doesn't matter. It's gone very close to the same sort of. Same sort of performance. That win that day over Charmed Harmony.
Yeah.
Rubber stamp that horse is a Group 1 competitive horse,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
I'm saying he's done the same again Saturday. He's a Group 1 competitive horse in any race he contests.
I had a brief conversation with Peter Ellis after the last, and one of the things that I briefly asked him, I said, what do you think of Palatino? He was sort of of the opinion it was just a run. It might just be a sort of building platform sort of run.
Except for feminine.
Yeah, I think it needs a big track too, yeah.
Big mid-race squeeze. Far too far for lead, and no fault of Mark Zara's. And I think that's where I was going to with my question with you there is about the class compared to a Victoria Handicap. How often do we see horses, let's say, coming off an Epsom, which is a handicap, then running better than weight for age horses because they haven't been in real races and off an Epsom? And I think the Victoria Handicap was a real race.
Was it?
Fucking win,
And should we?
We had a lot of resuming horses. So anyway, Palatino's just as good. Tashby, but you and I, we're in the corner here, are we?
Well, I'm walling. That would have been the biggest place collect I've ever had. I just kept backing that horse at all sorts of prices, place only between 20 to 1 and 30 to 1, and it had to get photo finished in the full spot, didn't it?
It's funny you mentioned that. As everyone know, I've followed Potter stuff religiously, and I reckon in the past, couple of months, they're the two sickest place beats I've ever had. There was, what's the thing that keeps going, Bush, that we backed at Armed and Dangerous at Caulfield, and then Tashby, who had third place shot to bits everywhere apart from about the last 20 metres.
Well, I just want to say the difference between a genuine high class and the bloke doing his best. Good on Corey Parry for taking it on from the wide barrier. Good on the Hayes table for giving him licence. Amazingly, it was questioned. I think if it was a higher class jockey doing those tactics,
or a high profile jockey.
No class. No,
Corey Parry.
He's a good jockey. I'm talking about the great. He's not the great. I'm talking about
I'm glad DK's not here.
No, but he would make lots of money out of the bush. But I'm just saying, he's not David Oliver, he's not front runners. He might be with Dwayne, but with Mark Zara or Craig Williams, he's not in their class. He's doing well, and he rode one in the city, recent city winner, a treat.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He's a fairly young jockey, isn't he?
Yeah.
So good on him. But I'm not criticising. What I'm saying is that was a fantastic effort there, and we're just good because we just missed it.
Absolutely. I'm giving full marks to Corey for getting a 100 to 1 shot into full spot. Well done, mate. You know what I mean? Like, if we were chatting and you were asking me, could I have done anything differently, I would simply say, you could have taken a little bit more time coming across.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, if you were a length or a length and a half further back, it probably would have been your natural spot. That might have helped you out by half a length or something. But that is really splitting hairs. You rode the horse really, really well, and he didn't have the ride until Saturday morning when Michael Walker wasn't able to fulfil his engagements. And there you are, riding in a Group 1. I'm not sure, probably for the first time, and you got a check. So well done.
Race 8 was the Heatherly Stakes taken out by Great Esteem. Potts, you mentioned, we were having a chat just before, you mentioned that in hindsight it was nearly a moral.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a character building day for us, because as I said, we're on Canvas, Highland Beat,
Prince of Brooklyn,
under the Louvre, So it was a character building day in that regard, and then we're on Tashby to run a place for a big collect and missed out, so things were looking very sad, and Great Esteem turned our day around. But really, I had on my betting plan there was 5 units on Magna Pal and 3 units on Great Esteem, when my instinct was telling me all along that I had it back to front. I just really thought this horse would, Cody Mallion would cooperate with it and work together with the horse and allow the horse to build its confidence through the race, and that's exactly what happened. She's rode it perfectly, and
she suits those
she was
sort of horses.
very, particularly at this distance race. The shorter distance races,
but
not so good. Like, it can be hit and miss, but in this sort of 1400 to 1800, she's very good. She really does work with the horses. So.
That's a big tip for the punters and people who are doing it. That's the key thing. Really, you have to back yourself in. You have to really trust your instincts. And yes, you're going to make blues, but the thing is, at least if you make a blue, you go, well, at least I made the blue then, and you back your judgment. So there's a little.
The other thing I'm really annoyed about is I had half my bet at $10, and
$16.80 on the toad.
Anyway,
I just gapped it. And actually, after it won 2 weeks ago, everyone was saying, "Oh, do we trust this time?" It's usually a good idea. And I threw it over the 20. So going forward, Second Bullet is in for a very good prep, maybe his best ever. There's a horse hidden here. It might be a very good horse called Arab Dawn. And Ben Mellon used what I'm now calling the French emotion tactic of being buried on the fence with no fucking chance whatsoever. And he wouldn't have run a place if he gave him every chance, but he was behind Nordic Flight, who was 3 million to 1 and a couple others. So he just couldn't get any momentum in the race. And looking at his Sydney figures, that peak that he did was a serious peak.
He was
one you can't flee.
He was tipped to me by a very, very, very good trial judge going into Saturday, so he's definitely one to stick with.
Yes. And they didn't change positions. I just want to quickly say one thing. I saw Brian Martin. I've got great respect for it. I'm not at all knocking, because he said what's often said about tracks. Caulfield track played perfectly because they won from everywhere. I agree with the first part for him, and good on him, but I think that just because they win from everywhere doesn't mean track plays perfectly. To me, a track plays perfectly if winners aren't disadvantaged. Right? So if winners aren't disadvantaged, the track's
winners
play,
aren't disadvantaged.
Leaders aren't disadvantaged.
Right.
That's why you were getting blank. That's why you were getting blank looks there.
If leaders aren't disadvantaged, in other words, so if you're talented enough, you can win. You can lead and win, and then if race shapes change and anything, which they invariably do, but it's not because they win from everywhere. If 9 leaders win, it doesn't mean the track's unfair. It can mean the track's unfair.
Yeah, a lot of time that's overplay. You walked at Potts, and I assume it was in Brandy.
Well, remember we walked 2 weeks ago, jumping into Burn Arrow then, and it was going to be it was a really strong fitness test that day.
Yeah.
It didn't improve significantly, but
it still needed to be fit.
Yeah, it'll be closer to perfect at the next meeting, I think. So
the midweeker that they run on grand final.
Well, I mean the next big meeting. When they go, because the next big meeting they'll probably go back to Royal True, I think, won't they?
You would imagine so.
Yeah.
The last was the Cochrane Stakes taken out by Ocean Embers for Cheyenne. G'day, Shay.
Yeah, full credit to her here, because nothing took her into the race. She just did this all on her own.
So slow tempo isn't necessarily a disadvantage for a fast closer.
No, absolutely not.
So I think
you allow a horse like her to be closer than she would otherwise be.
I will risk her in the how now if there's speed in the race. Only because, not knocking her, but we don't know yet what she can do with speed in the race.
It's a pretty low race, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not knocking her. It's to me, it's a winner-only race. There's no other horses in that race.
Don't Doubt Mama, maybe ridden with initiative next time.
Yeah, she seems to be more of a 1400 metre sit sprint type mare to me. So They'll go in different directions in different races, but Ocean Embers has got a bit on those mares.
What's yours to follow?
Horse to follow.
He's our Roki.
Snap.
Gabella. Particularly third up, I would say, for her. Third up at, probably a 1800 metre race or maybe a 2000 metre race.
Under the Louvre is the next start moral in anything, and you'll get good odds because they will risk it next start. He couldn't have done any better. We explained why earlier, and I think that is your opportunity. I agree with you. He's our Rocky.
I won't be jumping off Palantino, and I think if they place Tom Melbourne, there's a reasonable race at him.
He's going to get fitter and get faster.
Yeah. So
he's got to learn though. He's still not a racehorse yet, Tom.
No.
He's got loads of
Hence
talent.
why Stevie Arnold's trying to teach it.
So, in just in regards to Palantino, he's paraded particularly badly first up and wasn't real good there on Saturday.
Stand by.
I'm not an expert on these things, so I would expect he'll be much better third up.
And then,
So it might be game on next start, might be.
No, he's
But it's
set from the
you'll be able to see it in the yard though.
You'll be able to see the yard,
He's at RT Ralphie on Twitter. Head to racetrackralphie.com for his full set for Mooney Valley on Saturday, and .au, and you've also got the daily specials.
Yeah, and Vince's lunch and
the
16th. If you can join us, it'd be good. Pot's coming along, we'll have a bit of fun.
And in regard, just for DK, because we like having a coming maiden winner. So Simply Invincible's a bit obvious, isn't it? Like, if it goes to a maiden, it'll be $1.20 or something. But there was a really good maiden on August 22, won by Ann Gassi. And there was two weir runners running second and third there, In Contempt and El Missile. It was only a 1,000 metre maiden, which is always a bit tricky, but there's just one that stuck at me when I was doing some review work this morning. So I'm saying, hopefully with DK's imprimatur, that In Contempt and El Missile are horses worth looking at their next maiden run.
Head to one to follow. We've got the big package coming up for the spring. You can 550 and grab pots of stuff from now until Sandy and Cup Day. Hopefully we'll be back this time next week to have a look at Mooney Valley wedding in the week off the finals. So good luck, punters, and we'll see you then.